The modern world is a constant cry for attention, a relentless storm of noise, distractions, and dopamine-driven chaos. Social media pings, trend cycles, and the pressure to stay visible have created an environment where silence feels like failure and solitude a flaw. But amidst all this sensory overload, Sigma males stand apart. They aren't just living differently. They're fundamentally wired in a unique way. Picture an encrypted flash drive navigating a sea of Bluetooth speakers. Unreadable, impenetrable, and silent by design. They function on a frequency that the average person can't even detect, let alone comprehend. While the masses are locked into a loop of chasing trends, seeking validation, and scrolling through hollow notifications, Sigma males move with the calm certainty of someone who's already seen how the story ends. It's as if they've read the next chapter of life and signed a non-disclosure agreement with the universe to keep it quiet. What's even more fascinating is that science backs this up. Neurological studies reveal that highly independent thinkers, people much like Sigma males, are better at processing uncertainty. They don't freeze when the future looks unclear. They adapt, strategize, and prepare in silence. While the world spirals in fear of the unknown, the Sigma male is already laying the foundation for what's next, sometimes even building it with his own two hands, far from the spotlight. But then something strange happens. Just when he's about to level up, his phone stops ringing. Flaky friends disappear. Fake supporters grow silent. The noise fades like a bug in a corrupted simulation. Why? Because when a Sigma male starts carrying seeds of the future, the universe clears the static. It's not out of cruelty or isolation. It's precision, divine design. Too many open tabs crash even the strongest systems, and a Sigma's operating system is built to run lean and focused. So if you feel that stillness, that eerie quiet before something big, don't fear it. Buckle up, because we're about to explore why these enigmatic men don't merely avoid distractions. They're divinely firewall from them. 1. They hold blueprints in their bones, not on vision boards. Sigma males don't chase purpose through sticky notes, planners, or grand declarations. They are the purpose. What they're building hasn't even fully revealed itself to them yet, but it pulses in their system like a persistent hum that never quiets. They don't need to showcase their vision to the world, because every cell in their body already knows the direction they're headed. That's what makes their movements so different, seemingly unpredictable, yet entirely intentional. They aren't lost. They're decoding something deeper. And here's what unsettles most people. Sigma males don't require external validation to make a move. They can walk away from a job, a relationship, or a high-stakes opportunity without second-guessing themselves. Why? Because they trust the unseen blueprint they carry within, a kind of intuitive map that doesn't come with instructions or guarantees. It's not so much about courage as it is about inevitability. They're not trying to be bold. They simply don't know how to live any other way. This inner certainty often makes them difficult to understand. In a society obsessed with showing your work and proving your plan, Sigma males remain silent. Their plan isn't something they display. It's embedded in their patterns. You'll see it in the way they move, in the way they observe, and in how they vanish just long enough to reappear sharper, colder, and more prepared. Every moment of solitude is another recalibration. While the world is shouting, they're listening for subtle updates from the future that most people are too distracted to notice. The most fascinating part? They're never in a hurry, because when you are the blueprint, you know the structure will rise exactly when it's meant to. Deadlines don't pressure them. Only alignment does. That's why shortcuts don't tempt them. Trends don't sway them. And while others might label them as detached or lazy, the truth is that they're simply operating on a more refined schedule, a sacred one. You can't fake this mindset. You either have the blueprint encoded in your DNA, or you don't. And if you do, distractions aren't just annoying, they're threats to the sacred architecture you're building. 2, they attract chaos, but never let it live rent-free. Sigma males have a strange relationship with chaos. It gravitates toward them like metal to a magnet, but not because they're chaotic themselves. Rather, it's their stillness that's disruptive. Their calm presence unnerves people in environments built on noise. As a result, they often find themselves in situations that test their resolve, emotionally, socially, and mentally. But here's the distinction. Sigma males don't invite chaos in. They've encountered it, studied it, and made peace with it without ever giving control. Where others might let chaos walk through the front door, settle in, and drain their emotional energy, Sigma males maintain emotional firewalls, boundaries that don't require announcements or posted rules. They simply exist. You can try to provoke them, distract them, or shake them, but it's like throwing stones at a steel fortress. They might feel the impact, but the gate remains closed. What's truly fascinating is how chaos always seems to test them right before a breakthrough. Just as they're about to level up mentally, financially, or spiritually, a distraction inevitably shows up, disguised as a tempting opportunity, an urgent crisis, or even a needy friend. But Sigma males, with their heightened internal radar, see through the illusion. They've learned that chaos wears disguises, and just because it knocks doesn't mean it deserves entry. They'll let the storm howl at the door while remaining composed inside, sipping their peace like a quiet rebellion. They understand the price of allowing the wrong energy in. They've paid it before. Now they're fortified. They've constructed invisible barriers that don't just repel chaos. They confuse it. Manipulators don't understand why their games don't work. Drama makers are baffled when they get no reaction. It's like yelling into a vacuum. And that's the secret. Sigma males don't give chaos a seat at the table. Not a room, not a voice, not even a corner. In a world addicted to reactions, they're the glitch, calm, measured, and emotionally untouchable. Chaos might come knocking every day, but trust this, it never, ever lives rent-free in their reality. 3. They're disconnected because integration dilutes their potency. Sigma males aren't disconnected because they dislike people or are antisocial by nature. Their solitude isn't about isolation, it's about preservation. They unplug from the noise of the world not out of disdain, but because staying too connected to the average dulls their edge. These men aren't built for small talk, groupthink, or shallow conversations that spin in circles and lead nowhere. Whenever they try to blend in, something within them glitches. It's not just boredom they feel, it's friction. Integration into the ordinary doesn't just feel off. It becomes a threat to their mission. Their minds operate at a higher voltage and surround themselves with low-frequency conversations and environments scrambles their internal circuitry. Over time, they've learned a hard truth. Not everyone deserves access to their energy, and more importantly, not everyone can handle it. The wrong people don't just waste their time. They drain it, distort it, and dilute the clarity they fight so hard to maintain. When Sigma males are around incompatible energy, their sharp instincts begin to fade. They start second-guessing decisions they would have once made without hesitation. They begin chasing distractions that never even interested them. Worse still, they absorb emotions that don't belong to them. That's not evolution, it's contamination. And so, when the world gets too loud or too close, they pull back, not to disappear, but to recalibrate. Every moment alone becomes a sanctuary. In solitude, they recharge their inner signal and sharpen their senses. They don't need validation from crowds or constant digital chatter to feel connected. They're already plugged into something far more powerful, whether you call it vision, intuition, or divine instruction. And the more time they spend alone, the clearer that signal becomes. No static, no interference, just raw, uninterrupted focus. They're not cold, they're concentrated. They're not rude, they're conserving power. Because when you carry a rare frequency, letting too many people into your inner world is like allowing oil to drip into clean water. Eventually, the purity fades. Sigma males don't take that risk. They don't trade their clarity for fake friendships, forced loyalties, or emotional drama disguised as connection. And here's the irony. The more they disconnect, the more magnetic they become. People feel their presence, even in their absence. That quiet intensity lingers, drawing curiosity and admiration. But few ever understand what lies behind that distance. A man who refuses to dilute his purpose for the sake of being digestible. He's not looking to be understood. He's fighting to stay undiluted. Because when your mission is rare, your solitude becomes sacred. For they're immune to emotional baiting because they see through it like glass. Sigma males aren't immune to emotions, but they're immune to emotional bait. This doesn't stem from coldness or lack of empathy. It's because they've developed a kind of emotional Xray vision. Over time, they've learned to detect manipulation disguised as care, connection, or concern. They've lived through the subtle traps. The "how are you?" that isn't really asking. The "I'm here for you," that's secretly a leash. Sigma males have witnessed people weaponize emotions to gain control, to guilt trip, to derail progress, or to create dependency. So now, they see the playbook before the game even starts. What most people miss is that distractions rarely announce themselves. They show up wearing friendly faces and familiar forms. A relationship that demands too much. A commitment that drains without return. A friend who smiles in public but competes in private. To most, it all looks normal, comforting, even. But Sigma males are tuned into the microsignals. The shift in tone, the compliment with a hook, the energy that suddenly feels off. They don't confront these things with drama. They don't argue for clarity. They simply exit. Quietly, decisively. You'll never catch a Sigma male begging someone to clarify their intentions. They don't need a smoking gun to trust their instincts. If something feels like manipulation, that's enough. They don't wait to confirm the trap. They avoid it entirely. And they don't stick around hoping people change. They just unplug and vanish. Why? Because emotional bait only works on those who crave validation. And that's where manipulators lose their power. Sigma males don't need to be needed. This is what makes them dangerous to those who try to control others emotionally. Sigma males don't react on cue. They don't escalate the drama. They don't take the bait. They observe, assess, and then refuse to engage. That calm, silent refusal, it's their most powerful response. It leaves manipulators stunned, scrambling for relevance, while others might burn bridges. Sigma males simply stop crossing them. No fight, no goodbye, just that quiet clarity that says, "I saw that, and I'm gone." They're called cold, distant, hard to read, but those labels mean nothing to a man committed to clarity over chaos. Their energy is protected. Their mission is pure. And when you're carrying something rare, you don't argue with distractions. You ghost them, not out of malice, but out of mastery. 5. They don't fear the unknown. They build homes inside it. Most people tremble at the edges of the unknown. They hesitate, overthink, and beg for clarity before making a move. But Sigma males? They walk directly into uncertainty, not as victims of it, but as architects within it. They don't wait for the unknown to become safe or logical. They build their safety inside it. Where others fear the silence before the storm, Sigma males thrive in it. They treat the void not as a threat, but as raw potential. While masses cling to blueprints and demand guarantees, Sigma males are already experimenting with what's never been done. They don't just dip their toes in change. They dive into it headfirst and start rearranging the furniture. They're comfortable in environments that don't yet make sense because their mindset is coded for what's next. They don't need consensus to innovate. They don't need permission to pivot. Their instincts are already syncing with the timeline ahead. They're the ones who were researching cryptocurrency before the banks caught on. They were stepping away from digital overload before detox became trendy. They were questioning systems that others still cling to for safety. It's not about being psychic. It's about pattern recognition paired with relentless intuition. They feel when the tides are shifting. They sense disruption before it arrives. So when they make strange moves or pivot early, it's not guesswork. It's alignment. Most people look at them and think, he's too early or he's out of touch. But in truth, Sigma males are just in touch with what's coming, while everyone else is still clinging to what's familiar. That's why they carry the secret to the future. They don't wait for trends to validate their path. They're already building new ones. They walk through the fog like it's a hallway, not a trap. Because to them, the unknown is not something to fear. It's a blank canvas begging for vision. While others wait for someone to draw the lines, Sigma males have already started sketching new dimensions. And yes, at first, they may look odd, misunderstood, even dismissed, until the world catches up, and suddenly, they're called visionaries. But they were never doing it for the label. They don't need applause. They're not visitors in the unknown. They live there, rent-free, with blueprints in one hand and peace in the other. 6. They live like prototypes, not products. Most people live life trying to become a finished product, something polished, packaged, and presentable. But Sigma males are wired differently. They don't seek final form. They exist as living prototypes, constantly evolving, adjusting, refining. They aren't trying to be perfect. They're trying to become. Every setback, every stretch of solitude, every internal breakthrough, it's all part of a deep, hidden upgrade process. While others polish their social media lives, Sigma males are in silent beta mode, testing new frameworks, dismantling old beliefs, and installing stronger ones. They break down their internal systems, not to implode, but to make room for something never before built. That's why they often feel out of place. Not because they're broken, but because they weren't built for the current world. Their thoughts don't fit the mold. Their values weren't downloaded from mainstream culture. They move like test pilots, flying through atmospheres no one else has even imagined yet. They collect data from their own experience and rewrite their mental code on the fly. This means they're never finished. They're always in development, not for aesthetics, not for attention, but because their internal operating system is built for transformation. What looks like isolation to others is actually high-level calibration. They're not avoiding people. They're avoiding static. Too much noise blocks their upgrades. Too much validation dilutes their originality. They understand a truth most never learn. To evolve, you must stop syncing with what's outdated. Every time they go silent, every time they step back, they return sharper, quieter, and more unpredictable. That's not detachment. That's precision. Sigma males don't exist to meet expectations. They exist to destroy limitations. They aren't trying to fit molds. They're here to break them. That's why they're misunderstood. They're running ahead of schedule. They're the prototypes of a future version of masculinity, one that won't be understood until society finally catches up. But by the time that happens, they'll be on the next version of themselves. They're not waiting to be embraced later. They never plan to be embraced at all, because products are made for shelves, easily consumed, labeled, and categorized. But Sigma males, they weren't made to be consumed. They were built to challenge, to innovate, to disrupt. So if they come across as distant, strange, or too different to relate to, it's because you're not watching a finished product. You're witnessing a man test drive the future, not perform the past. 7. They process reality in silence because noise corrupts clarity. Sigma males operate in silence not because they're hiding something, but because they understand that noise is the quickest way to distort the truth. In a world that's become obsessed with constant expression, where everyone is shouting to be seen, heard, and validated, Sigma males step back. Their silence isn't retreat. It's a calculated power move. While others impulsively overshare, emotionally react, or broadcast every fleeting thought, Sigma males withdraw into their own minds like a well-guarded sanctuary. This silence is sacred to them. It is where clarity lives. They know that genuine insight, deep processing, and meaningful understanding can only be born from quiet. Within that space, they run mental simulations, examine patterns, test theories, and decode intentions. Their minds are like command centers, and they guard them from the chaos of external noise. You'll rarely catch a Sigma male interrupting, oversharing, or dominating conversations. They don't need to. Their strength lies in the restraint, not the performance. Often, what they don't say strikes harder than what most scream at the top of their lungs. Their silence is loaded. It carries encrypted meaning, deliberate intention, and the kind of awareness that unsettles those around them. When they walk away mid-conflict without raising their voice, or stay quiet in a moment of chaos while their eyes say everything, it's not awkwardness, it's precision. Their selective expression isn't just about valuing privacy. It's about preserving their process, their peace, and ultimately, their power. They understand that overexposure is a silent destroyer. Every unnecessary opinion, every knee-jerk reaction, every moment of speaking just to fill the space, it all feeds a noise. And when you feed the noise, you lose your edge. That's a trade Sigma males are never willing to make. So, while the world deforms for attention, they quietly rebuild their internal reality, sharpening their insight and deepening their wisdom. Their silence becomes their firewall, their filter, their force field. And once a Sigma male realizes that noise is the enemy of intuition, He stops speaking to seek approval and starts thinking with purpose. This is what makes them so dangerous. Not the things they say, but the things they've already figured out in silence. 8. They move ahead by withdrawing, not advancing. One of the most counterintuitive truths that Sigma males embody is this: motion doesn't always mean progress. In today's world, where constant visibility is equated with value, most people confuse movement with advancement. But Sigma males see through the illusion. They've discovered that the more the world spins in noisy circles, the more power there is in pulling back. While everyone else chases likes, trends, and engagement, Sigma males disappear. They go off-grid. They disconnect, not out of confusion or weakness, but because they've already calculated that real growth happens in silence. They don't charge forward like soldiers following orders. They move like snipers, silent, strategic, detached. Their withdrawal isn't a retreat. It's positioning. It's stepping back to get a better view of the field and a cleaner shot at the next target. Society equates being seen with being successful, but Sigma males operate outside of that logic. They understand that the loudest person in the room is often the most lost. So they vanish, not to hide, but to build, quietly, alone, while others exhaust themselves performing. Sigma males are upstairs, laying blueprints for a staircase no one even knows exists. Their growth is internal first, before it ever becomes visible. And when they return, it seems like they've made an impossible leap. But it wasn't sudden. It was a result of intentional solitude, a silence spent not waiting, but calculating, updating, preparing. Sigma males are allergic to forced momentum. They'd rather pause completely than fake movement just to appear busy. And while the world burns out chasing speed, Sigma males conserve energy, waiting for a precise moment to shift everything with a single move. To them, stepping back isn't giving up. It's gaining clarity. It's choosing elevation over exposure. And when they finally re-enter the game, they don't just catch up, they appear miles ahead. That's the power of withdrawal, when used as a weapon. While others chase applause, Sigma males reload in silence. And by the time the world notices, they're already operating at the next level. 9. Their distractions are blocked because corruption can infect purpose. Sigma males don't merely ignore distractions. They eliminate them with surgical precision. To them, distractions are more than annoyances. They're potential infections, threats to the clarity and fire that drive their purpose. This is why people and situations that once seemed close to them can suddenly disappear without warning. It's not random. It's not emotional. It's divine editing, called the universe or divine order. Something steps in to clear the path, to remove what doesn't belong on their journey. These men aren't strolling through life. They're built like aircraft, meant to ascend above the turbulence that holds others down. And just like real aircraft, they need clear skies, no cluttered runways, and zero dead weight. If a person, opportunity, or a habit starts to compromise their altitude, it's gone. No drama, no explanation. Their detachment is not rooted in coldness, but in necessity. They don't cut ties to hurt others. They sever what can't fly with them. They don't chase people who lower their frequency or beg for second chances from distractions in disguise. Because Sigma males know once corruption touches purpose, the mission is compromised. Their life is engineered to soar, and anything that slows them down, infects their clarity, or drains their energy is removed without negotiation. Their purpose acts as a force field, an immune system that keeps out toxicity before it even lands. They're not arrogant for removing distractions. They're precise. Survival at their level requires nothing less. Every unnecessary attachment is a liability. Every unaligned presence is a crash waiting to happen. When people suddenly find themselves on the outside of a Sigma male's life, they often don't get a reason. That's because the act of departure is the reason. The runway has been cleared. The engines are ready. And distractions? They never even made it to boarding. 10. They read energy like prophecy, not data. Sigma males don't rely on spreadsheets or statistics to understand the world. They aren't captivated by surface-level information that's already outdated by the time most people react to it. Instead, they operate on a subtler frequency, one that taps into energy, not just evidence. To them, Energy is prophetic. It's the language behind the language, the undercurrent beneath every movement, word, and intention. They don't just feel vibes, they read them. A person's tone, body language, even the pauses in their speech. It all paints a picture that Sigma males instantly decode. This isn't just vague intuition, it's refined pattern recognition, like an advanced algorithm operating beneath conscious thought. They process these subtle signals and form conclusions before others even notice something's off. This gift allows them to see through masks, to detect ulterior motives, and to sense shifts in people and environments long before the changes become visible. They don't need to wait for the facts to arrive. They already understand the trajectory. They can feel the rise or fall of a situation just by stepping into the energy of a room. While others are obsessed with metrics and measurable outcomes, Sigma males are tuned into something deeper. Their insight is drawn from the unseen, from emotional coding, energetic blueprints, and vibrational signatures. They spot threats before they manifest. They detect opportunities that haven't even taken shape yet. They know when to exit a situation, pivot a plan, or trust a person, not because of data, but because they've read the field. They are not just reacting to the present. They are syncing with the future. That's why their movements can seem oddly timed or unpredictable. But that's the secret. They're often right, not because they're lucky or psychic, but because they've read the invisible signs that others miss. In the end, Sigma males don't rely on charts or forecasts to guide them. They rely on a sixth sense honed through silence, sharpened by solitude and empowered by purpose. To them, energy isn't just something you feel, it's something you read. And once you master that language, you stop needing permission to lead. You become the one writing what comes next. Do you resonate with the ideas I shared in this video? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in more content about Sigma males, explore the other videos on this channel. Thanks for watching.